Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Alright, so trackies, welcome to T's World, T's Thoughts, T's Commentary. Alright, so I've been thinking recently, and I don't know if I'm the only one that's getting the vibe, but you can always tell me in the comment section below if you're also feeling these sorts of changes, changes for the better, you know, that are been happening or that's happening as it pertains to the MVP training camp, whether it be the Puma side, the Nike side, just the school itself. I'm just getting a vibe that there's a positive change going on. Now, recently, I've been just, taking a note of the plethora of MVP athletes that have been doing interviews and talking about, the shape that they're in mentally and physically. There's a lot of touch on that. Now, there are quite a few athletes, just to name a few, we talk about like the Kishanes, we talk about Rasheen McDonough. We can even talk about Janelle Smith. I've been seeing recently in interviews, saying they are, mentally in a better place, plus also physically in a better place. Right. They've talked about injuries that they've had in the past, and now they've seen or the coaching staff, has gotten that under control, and they're training much better, right? And they're also expecting much better performances going forward in this 2024 season. We also see the likes of Akisha Thompson talking about how, they're taking their time and working along with him, considering that he's injury prone, putting the right steps in place, the right measures to ensure that one, this is not something that persists, and two, we can get the best out of you. So let's get your body as strong as we can, right? But not by just, flooding you with all that hard work, right off the bat. Let's take our time and incrementally, gradually build you up into getting you to be a phenomenal athlete that you could potentially be. Right. So that's the vibe that I've been getting. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. This doesn't really sound like the MVP of old. And by old, I mean a short few years ago. And when did I start getting this vibe? I started getting this vibe, I believe, last season. I just saw a certain, level of camaraderie that I was getting from the camp and just how the athletes were speaking. Everything just felt, positive for the better, right? So, as I'm saying, just a short few years ago, that's not really the vibe that I've been getting, as it relates to MVP. I've always had them in my mind as a really hard and fast club, kind of my way or the highway thing. You either perform or you don't, and you're out, kind of thing. And for the most part, yeah, that's what I thought with MVP. Do I think it was wrong? No, because I think I've said this before, with just how the mentality of how people are and how they're so quick to slack off, right? I don't have a problem with somebody being hard and fast just to get you to perform at your best, because at the end of the day, that's going to benefit you. But, we've seen over the years as well where that didn't really have the best outcome from the athlete's perspective. We saw a lot of athletes leave and then leave citing certain things that they were experiencing, at the club, in most recent years. I won't touch on the whole Elaine thing, you know what I mean? But in most recent years, we saw Megan Tapper leaving. We did see also Rashid Broadbell. And I remember Rashid Broadbell was a big one for me, and that stuck out like a sore thumb, because I remember him vividly saying that he didn't like the treatment he was getting, or his father didn't like the treatment he was getting when he picked up an injury, when he got injured, and they decided, all right, they're going to switch camps, and that's what they did. And now they're at elite performance, right? But since Rashid, so I believe Rashid Broadbell is the last high profile athlete that left the club, right? And since then, I have been getting the vibe that MVP was like, all right, we need to do something. We need to change. There needs to be a switch, right? Because what we've been doing of the old may not be the best, right? We need to make some kind of change. And I feel like they have made that change. And it looks as though the athletes are in a better place as it stands right now. We hear athletes talking about, let's use Rasheen McDonald, most recently talking about the struggles that he's had injury wise. Now he's been struggling for years, as he states, with back problems. And I find it interesting. I don't know if it has taken all these years for it to get better. But I find it interesting. It's not that I'm feeling this kind of switch in energy with the club, is when he's saying that, he's over these niggles for the most part. They're not entirely gone, right? But he's saying that he's over those niggles for the most part. So I find it interesting. So I'm wondering if it's, they're taking more time, paying more attention to the athletes to ensure that, what, they, not only, are able to, because it's MVP is the number one club in Jamaica. So as it relates to performances, more than likely once you go there, you have some kind of talent and you're going to end up being a world class athlete. But let's say, for instance, you're the type of athlete that gets injured easily. You're not just thrown out to the dogs and left out there to lick your wounds, by yourself until you come back and then we pick you up again. You know what I mean? Plus, also, I want to really touch on the mental side as well. There are a few athletes that I've always noted, I believe, struggled with their performances on the big stage, right? Again, and I want to really touch on Kishin because, and that's why I like the comparison when I talked about him versus Asafa, right? I feel like when he talks about how mentally tough he is, I'm actually very impressed by how he sounds, for 2020, for a 22-year-old, right? I feel like, listen, there's nothing anybody that can say or do that will derail him. And I mean, persons on the track, they can't derail him. When he turns up to run his best race, he's gonna, do whatever he needs to do per his coach's instructions. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But before Kishan, there are other athletes as well that have struggled. I talked about Genevieve recently in a video, and she came out and she said, yes, I did struggle in the past, right? However, where I'm right now, that's not the case. And again, that's recent. So I'm telling you, there has been a shift at MVP. Another athlete that has struggled for years, our very own, same Rashid McDonald. He is, and a lot of people probably don't even realize sometimes when we talk about Rashid McDonald, but he's actually our national record holder over the 400 meters, best believe it. But I believe that he struggled on the big stage, to pull out his biggest performances when it mattered most. That has happened with him as well in the past. But now I hear Rashid McDonald in interviews saying, hey, mentally I'm stable, you know what I mean, mentally I'm in a better place, so I know I can do, whatever I'm capable of. And that for me is very good. I don't know what happened at MVP. I don't know what was the wake up call, but they got a wake up call, and I like it. I don't know if too many athletes were leaving. I don't know if too many athletes were saying, hey, they're not doing, they're not making me feel confident in myself. You know what I mean? So I don't know if something happened, but some wake up call happened. Well, I don't know what the wake up call is. Let's just say that. But a wake up call happened, and I believe that there has been a huge shift at MVP, and I believe that we're just going to be seeing a lot of positive results going forward from these athletes. They seem to be getting much more attention physically when they have niggles, and of course mentally, because not everybody's just going to come out and be the most confident in themselves. They're going to look at the field and be like, oh my god, can I do this? You know what I mean? So it's good to be in an environment where you feel as though, yes, you are the best, you know what I mean, at whatever you're doing. So that's great. Anyway, Chuck, is you all know, sound off in the comment section below and let me know, are you getting that vibe? Do you feel that sort of change, that sort of switch with the MVP camp? Of course, like the video and subscribe. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.